The Skeptics. Before I dive into some specific philosophers, I thought it prudent to address skepticism in philosophy. Now, skepticism is not really a specific school of philosophy, and there have been many different skeptics throughout the history of philosophy at different time periods. The reason why I'm addressing skeptics in an individual video is that historically, most philosophers were trying to figure out what can be known, whereas skeptics were the opposite, focusing on what we can't know. Skepticism, in a nutshell, is the position that truth, including ethics, morality, does not exist. What humans think they know is really subjective and relative. Subjective means based on an individual's disposition, i.e., the way an individual's senses experience the world around them. Humans do not see, feel, taste, hear, or smell everything the same way. Take this dress, for example. You may have seen this in social media before. Is it gold and white? Or is it shades of blue? What about this image? Do you see a rabbit or a duck? And is this person attractive or unattractive? If you ask the human population these questions, you will get both answers to each question. But how can one person be right and another person be wrong? How can they both be right? If there is truth, there must be untruth. But if everything is true, then truth becomes meaningless. And how can they both be wrong if there is truth? If nobody is correct, then there is no truth. Much of what humans think they know is also relative, that is, dependent on context. It is true if something else is true, but is not true by itself. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, but only at sea level. If you deviate from sea level, the boiling point changes. Therefore, how can we say water boiling at 100 degrees Celsius is true, or is a fact when it needs something else to be true? And when that other thing is not true, then it too is no longer true. Well, what about ethics? Is it permissible to eat meat? If so, what kind of meat? In some countries, it is permissible to eat chicken and beef, but not cats and dogs. In some places, it's permissible to eat cats and dogs, but not endangered animals or humans. Which is right and which is wrong? How can you prove which is wrong? The skeptic Gorgias summed it up best. Nothing exists. Even if something exists, nothing can be known about it. And even if something can be known, it cannot be communicated. Let's break that down. Nothing exists. That means truth does not exist. You cannot see the dress unless it has color. Go ahead. Imagine a dress with no color. No lines, for lines have color. It's impossible. And it is not clear what color the dress is since it appears differently to different people. Therefore, the dress has no actual color. And if what allows you to see the dress, color, does not exist, then how can you know the dress exists? You cannot. Therefore, it does not exist. Even if something exists, nothing can be known about it. That means even if something existed, its qualities cannot be known. Perhaps the dress does exist, but what do you know about it? You see it as gold, but how do you know it's gold when others see blue? The color is a lie. So whatever else you see using color, such as its shape or patterns, are based on a lie. And anything based on a lie is a lie as well. And even if something can be known, it cannot be communicated. So even if you somehow magically knew the dress was truly gold, how could you prove it to the person who sees it as blue? Is there anything you can do to convince them it's gold? And if so, is it something they can't do in return to convince you it's blue? There's nothing you can do to argue it's gold that they can't do to argue it's blue. When it comes to morality, how can you prove to someone that eating chicken, dog meat, or human meat is wrong when they think it's right? What can you do to convince them it's wrong? And how would you convince them that one form of meat is acceptable but another is not? Perhaps you could try to make them feel bad about it, like emotional browbeating, but that doesn't prove any truth. You've just made a person feel ashamed, like a big bully picking on a smaller child, for the clothes they wear. The sophists believe this world was just subjective experiences and there was no objective truth to discover. They did, however, believe in practical living. Rely on what experience has taught you. Take language, for example. It's just a bunch of made-up sounds with made-up meanings that you've learned through experience and that you use through habit. But by most people's accounts, language is indispensable, even if it's made up. If the word apple gets you what you want, you use it. But for whatever reason, if one day you find yourself in a new context and the word apple does not work, but manzana does, use that word. Use whichever word is useful. There is no such thing as true names for an object, nor is there true knowledge. There are only useful names and useful ideas. In that sense, if through experience you find Bitcoin useful, then use it. Just don't mistake it for anything more than an invented tool. And if you don't find it useful, well, don't bother with it. But keep in mind, contexts change, and you may need to change your ideas.